Dab. Yes. Oh. Now my dirty they smell like this. Now to throw away am quick. This kind smell fit make man sick. That woman throw away dirty for ground. Me sef go do the same this time around.
Hold up.
See, to do this kind badness by the book, you make sure say person no dey look. And then you drop am nicely, bros. Nothing will happen. Trust me.
See, if you throw away dirty for ground, another person sef throw away dirty. Everybody come begin to throw away dirty for ground. Everywhere go come dey smell. Gutter go block, road go block, and you wey like to dey dab. Now you say no more dabbing for you be that oh. Dab. Yes.
A very lovely day to you for joining us on News on the Hour. I am Precious Amayo.
And hi, I'm Adebola Adeleke.
And on the news now, Ambode put pressure on federal government over National Stadium. Reps Summer Ngige over mass sacking by telecoms operators. And for business, Fashola bemoans power firms managers' award of inflated contracts. South Africa's MTN to invest $295 billion in Iranian broadband network. When the Watch 6 move to block Fox bid for Sky. And on foreign, Zimbabwe's Mugabe leaves for medical checks in Singapore. Senate confirms Heather Wilson as Trump's Air Force Secretary.
And on to sports, Rivers United aim for FA Cup title. Viewing center tragedy. HOS wants electricity firm sanctioned. Police arrest Messi Iranian lookalike.
And on the news now, Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has intensified moves towards the takeover of the National Stadium Surulere from the federal government. It was learned that the special advisor to the governor on sports and chairman Lagos State Sports Commission, Deji Tinubu, was in Abuja on a directive of Ambode to meet with the Minister of Sport, Solomon Dalong, to work out the details on the stadium takeover. The stadium has been abandoned by the federal government for years. Tinubu, who confirmed his meeting with Dalong, said the state government was not happy with the sorry state of the stadium that hosted the 1993 All-Africa Games, the 1999 FIFA Under-20 World Cup, and several Senior World Cup qualifiers. He said Governor Ambode continues to relentlessly pursue his dream of a Lagos for all, and a Lagos that works and sees the benefits of the use of sport and all it encompasses, hence the move to request the takeover of the stadium. Still in Lagos State, the Lagos State government has said 60 abandoned buildings belonging to the federal government on Lagos Island have become criminal hideouts. The special advisor to the governor on Central Business District, CBD, Agbola Dabiri, stated this at a press conference in Alausa, Ikeja, adding that the abandoned buildings were being used by criminals to perpetrate nefarious activities. He said some of the abandoned buildings harbored as many as 100 hoodlums. Some of the buildings are located along Marina, among others. He also identified overpopulation as one of the biggest challenges on the Lagos Island CBD. The special advisor said all illegal structures and shanties in and around the Idumota pedestrian bridge have been demolished, thus providing opportunity for the people to make use of it after 15 years. Dabiri also disclosed that the agency had dismissed a number of workers whose actions compromised the image of government. Away from Lagos State now, the Senate has rescinded its decision to limit the access of television stations' cameramen into its chamber. The upper legislative chamber said accredited broadcast stations were now free to cover its proceedings. The decision was part of the resolutions reached at a reconciliatory meeting between the leaderships of the Senate and the Senate Press Corps. The Senate had on Thursday restricted coverage of its proceedings to 6 television stations. This forced all the cameramen to boycott the coverage of the plenary at the chamber. The Senate Press Corps had protested against the restriction and filed a petition to the chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Ali Sabi Abdullahi. While briefing journalists after the meeting, Sabi Abdullahi said the conflict had been resolved. The chairman, Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Ishe Sage, has called for appropriate sanctions against lawyers bringing shame to the legal profession. Sage also called on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Nigerian Police to monitor and to investigate the activities of legal practitioners who received proceeds of corruption as legal fees. The senior advocate spoke during the 2017 annual Law Week of the Edo State branch of the Nigerian Bar Association in Benin, with the theme Fighting Corruption Within the Rule of Law in a Democracy. According to him, public servants and politicians who conspire to bribe and corrupt Nigerian judges deserve harsh punishment. We'll take a break now. When we return, we have more reports from Nigeria. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us in News on the Hour. The House of Representatives has queried the Central Bank of Nigeria for a staggering $81.2 billion imbalance in crude oil sale proceeds declared by the Apex Bank for the year 2011 to 2014. The query was sent to the CBN by the House Ad Hoc Committee investigating the alleged exports of $17 billion undeclared crude and gas resources from the country between 2011 and 2014. The committee, which is chaired by a member of the All Progressives Congress from Adamawa State, Mr. Abdulrazak Namdas, had earlier queried the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation over the same imbalance. According to documents obtained exclusively, the committee had analyzed records submitted to it by the Department of Petroleum Resources, the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, and NNPC for the years under review. From the analysis, the total crude revenue came to $123.9 billion. But the committee observed that the CBN's declaration of crude oil sale revenue receipts for 2011 to 2014 was $42.7 billion, leaving a balance of $81.2 billion. Still in the House of Representatives, the House has summoned the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Chris Ngige, over reported mass sacking of workers by telecommunications service providers in recent times. An ad hoc committee of the House, which is chaired by Mr. Ahmed Abu, is investigating the development. The committee gave Ngige the next 10 days to make himself available after the lawmakers to address the issue. The committee expressed worry that the service providers were reportedly laying off employees without observing the extant labor rules and procedures. The committee had summoned the minister soon after it met with the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Professor Umar Dambata. Away from the House now to Imo State, the Imo State Governor, Rochas Okorocha, has said that nothing will stop the All Progressive Congress, APC, from taking over Anambra State in the November 18 poll. He said the state governor, Willie Obiano, should be writing his handover note to an APC governor. Okorocha stated this while inaugurating the Rochas People's Movement in Anambra State. He said the main objective of the movement was to register grassroots presence in the state. Okorocha, who was represented by the South-Southeast coordinator of the ROPM, Dr. Simon Nwulu, said he owed the Igbo nation a duty of proper direction in Nigerian politics. The governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, has appealed to the NPower governing body to consider giving 10,000 extra slots to Borno State in light of the huge needs of the Boko Haram hit state to recover from the devastating effects of various acts of terrorism carried out in the state over the years. He also appealed that Yobe and Adamawa would get special consideration, praising the visiting NPower implementation and monitoring team for standing the test of time, despite misgivings and mischief makings. Governor Shettima explained to the team that while some other states are now jostling to be recognized as the worst hit state by Boko Haram, statistics by the World Bank and other agencies have shown that Borno accounts for $5.6 billion of the total $9.5 billion lost to the drawn-out battle against terrorism in Nigeria. Governor Shettima added that the state is open to any idea or initiative that advances the welfare of Borno citizens without discrimination for ethnic group or religion. This, he said, reflects in the appointment of people in his team. The Department of State Services has revealed its reasons for detaining a former governor of Benue State, Mr. Gabriel Suswam, for about 73 days between February 25th and Sunday, May 7, 2017. The agency stated that intelligence available to it showed that Suswam was affiliated with an alleged militia leader in the state, Tewase Akwaza, also known as Ghana, who is involved in terrorizing the citizens of Benue State. He stated that Suswam had threatened to make Benue State ungovernable for the incumbent governor, Samuel Ortom, adding that indeed the state has proved to be ungovernable in the past few months, with various crises occurring every now and then. The agency added that Suswam was arrested on February 25, 2017 for allegedly being in possession of 3 lethal and prohibited weapons and for his avowed commitment to bring about a state of unrest in Benue State. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we will look at business news. Do stay with us. Welcome back now. Moving on to business. The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, on Monday inaugurated an inter-ministerial committee to review all pension liabilities of the federal government and come up with strategies to offset them. Adeosun heads the committee made up of the Accountant General of the Federation, Alhaji Ahmed Idris, and the Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Mr. Ben Akabezi, among others. She said the composition of the committee was approved by President Muhammadu Buhari, adding that its terms of reference were to review and reconcile all pension liabilities and make recommendations as to what portion of the liabilities could be funded through budget appropriations, as well as to suggest creative ways of funding the balance. A statement from the Director of Information in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Salisu Dambata, stated that the Finance Minister tasked the members of the committee to identify any pension asset that could be in suspense and ensure that such funds were used in offsetting the liabilities. And now to the Ministry of Industry. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Okechukwu Inalama, is to meet with top officials in the ministry to work out strategies for the implementation of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP. The ROGP, which was launched last month by President Muhammadu Buhari, is the government's blueprint to take the economy out of recession and ensure inclusive growth and sustainable development. The Special Advisor on Media and the Permanent Secretary FMITI, Mr. Babajide Iletogun, who confirmed the development on Monday, said the meeting would enable the ministry to fine-tune its industrialization strategies for the next 3 years. The president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, Dr. Olataju Shomori, says the new tax scheme recently introduced by the federal government will boost tax contribution to the country's gross domestic product. She hinted that the National Economic Council had approved the implementation of the new tax scheme tagged Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme, VITE. The CITN president, who spoke at the 36th induction ceremony of the institute in Lagos, expressed the readiness of the institute to team up with relevant stakeholders in ensuring that the objectives of the policy measure were achieved. According to Shomori, the tax measure is aimed at addressing the high rate of tax evasion in the country. She said the VITE, which is likely to become operational next month, is expected to boost the revenue portfolios of the federal and state government. Indeed, the FIRS is targeting an increase in tax contribution to the gross domestic product to the tune of 18% by 2020. Away from Nigeria now, South Africa's MTN Group has agreed to invest more than $295 million in Iranian-Net, a fixed-line broadband network in which it is to buy an initial 49% stake. The outline deal, announced on Monday, extends MTN's interest in the Iranian telecoms market that has opened up for foreigners following the lifting of international sanctions, which has also allowed MTN to repatriate $1 billion in accumulated dividends from its 49% stake in wireless network operator Irancell. The latest agreement, which is still at a non-binding stage, is the second for MTN in Iran this year, after Africa's biggest wireless network group invested in Iran Internet Group, which runs a car-hailing app called Snap.ir. MTN said it would pay 540 million rand, equivalent to $40 million, to buy a 49% stake in Iranian-Net, and will invest an additional 3.4 billion rand in both equity and loans to help the Iranian company develop a fiber network over the next 5 years. And now, an activist investor in Akzo Nobel is making a legal bid to force the removal of the Dulux Paint owner's chairman. Elliott advisors say Anthony Borgmans should be ousted because of the Dutch firm's refusal to enter takeover talks with U.S. rival PPG Industries. In the petition filed with Dutch Enterprise Chamber, Elliott said Mr. Borgmans had not discharged his duties. Akzo has rejected 3 offers from PPG, but some shareholders, including Elliott, back the bid. Mr. Borgmans and Chief Executive Ton Buchman say the bid undervalues Akzo. The most recent offer rejected on Monday is worth 26.9 billion euros. Elliott, which holds a 3.25% stake in Akzo, has teamed up with other like-minded investors who request an extraordinary meeting to vote on a proposal to remove Mr. Borgmans. However, the company responded by reporting Elliott and PPG to Dutch regulators for possibly sharing potentially sensitive information with PPG regarding support for the meeting. And in the UK, a woman who alleges she was sexually harassed at Fox News has asked UK media regulators to block 21st Century Fox planned purchase of Sky. Ofcom is examining the $11.7 billion bid for the UK broadcaster, when the Watch's legal team says the deal would allow Fox to bring a culture of sexual and racial harassment to the UK. The company said it had addressed the allegations and made fundamental changes. The British media regulator, Ofcom, is examining whether it is in public interest for the Murdoch-owned company to take full ownership of Sky, of which it already owns 39%. A previous bid from the Murdochs to buy Sky was abandoned after a scandal over phone hacking at Murdoch-owned newspapers. The Murdoch-owned firm 21st Century Fox said its management has taken prompt and decisive action to address reports of sexual harassment and workplace issues at Fox News. 3 of Fox News' most senior male staff have recently left the company following accusation of sexual harassment and mismanagement. We'll take another quick break now, and when we return, we'll look at foreign news. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to foreign news. We begin in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe has left the country for medical checks in Singapore about 2 months after his previous such trip to the South Asian nation. Aged 93, Mugabe is the only leader the Southern African country has known since independence in 1980, and his health is a hot topic ahead of a presidential election scheduled for next year that he is due to contest. He flew to Singapore late on Monday. The Ministry of Information said he was expected to return home at the weekend. Mugabe now struggles to walk, with security aides forming a human shield around him in public, often making it difficult for reporters to film or take pictures of him. And in Europe, Paris Gare du Nord, one of French capital's main railway stations, reopened today after police evacuated it late on Monday to search a high-speed train for suspected militants. On high alert due to a spate of Islamic attacks and Sunday's presidential election, police mounted a large-scale operation in response to a tip-off that would-be attackers were on the train arriving from northern France. Between 20 and 30 police vans massed around the stations, with officers wearing balaclavas and carrying out assault weapons. The alert was called off when nothing was found. The police were searching for 3 individuals suspected of wanting to carry out attacks in France. An alert about the 3 suspects was circulated to police nationwide last Friday, and the information had leaked on the internet. And still in France, Manuel Valls, a former French socialist prime minister, has stated his wish to support President-elect Emmanuel Macron's political movement in the June elections in the lower house of parliament. Valls said he would be a candidate in the presidential majority, adding that he wished to join up to his movement, namely the Republic on the Move. Macron is working to obtain a majority in the lower house of parliament in June elections. His party chief, Richard Ferrand, said on Monday that Macron's En Marche movement would change his name to En Marche Les Républiques, or Republic on the Move, so as to structure itself more likely like a traditional party. Still on elections, but now in the United Kingdom, British Prime Minister Theresa May has vowed to introduce a cap on domestic energy prices that would cut tariffs for around 17 million families if she is re-elected on June 8. Energy bills have doubled in Britain over the past decade to about £1,200 a year, angering consumers who face rising inflation and muted wage growth, and drawing the eye of politicians ahead of the national election. May will order the energy regulator, Ofgem, to cap the maximum cost of standard variable tariffs, the package used by 2/3 of customers in Britain. May, whose ruling Conservative Party is around 20 points ahead of the opposition Labour Party in opinion polls, said she respected the move to save families on poor value tariffs as much as £100 a year. And now in the United States, a White House spokesman has said the latest detention of a U.S. citizen by North Korea, which raises the number of Americans in their custody to 4, is concerning amid heightened tensions over Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs. White House spokesman Sean Spicer said the U.S. government will go to work through the Embassy of Sweden through its State Department to seek the release of the individuals there. Meanwhile, North Korea's official news agency has said that Kim Hak-sung, who worked for the Pyongyang University of Science and Technology, was detained on Saturday on suspicion of hostile acts against the state. 4 U.S. citizens are currently being held in North Korea, a country with which the United States has no diplomatic relations and has technically remained at war with since the 1950 to 53 Korean conflict. A meeting of Trump's administration advisors that had been scheduled for today to decide whether to pull the United States out of the Paris Climate Agreement has been postponed due to scheduling conflict. According to senior administration officials and several people briefed on the meeting, key advisors to President Donald Trump and cabinet officials were due to convene at the White House to resolve an internal debate over whether Trump should keep his campaign promise to pull the United States out of the Paris Agreement. The White House official did not say when the meeting would be rescheduled. The meeting was meant to lay the groundwork for a formal proposal to Trump, who has promised to announce a decision before a Group of 7 summit at the end of May. Still in the United States, U.S. Senate has confirmed Heather Wilson, a former Republican member of the House of Representatives, to be President Donald Trump's Secretary of the Air Force. The vote was 76 to 22 in favor of Wilson, becoming the top civilian overseeing the Air Force. The 22 no votes all came from Democrats. At her confirmation hearing in March, Wilson praised the stealth capability of Lockheed Martin Corps F-35 fighter jet, remarks suggesting the Pentagon's most expensive weapons system would have an important advocate. We'll take a break now. Up next is sports with Adebola Adeleke. Do stay with us.
And on to sports, starting with the Nigerian Professional Football League. The Rivers United will be aiming to win the Rivers State FA Cup title for the first time when they face Seashore FC in the final on Tuesday. United beat MFM FC 1-0 in the quarterfinals before dispatching SKE FC 2-1 in the semi-finals on Sunday to earn the right to compete in the final. Seashore FC will represent the banana skin for the pride of Rivers, having put paid to the ambitions of the champions, Go Round FC, at the semi-final stage. Head coach of Seashore FC, Justin Smart, is well aware of the challenge posed by Rivers United and says his charges will respect the opposition but approach the game without any fear. United's technical manager Stanley Eguma also spoke about the game, explaining that it will serve as tune-up for Sunday's CAF Confederation Cup game in Tunisia against Club Africa. Tuesday's game between Rivers United and Seashore FC will be played at the Yakubu Gowon Stadium for 3 p.m. local time. President of the Nigeria Professional Federation, Amaju Pinnick, has been appointed the president of the organizing committee for the African Cup of Nations, a position previously occupied by ex-Confederation of African Football President Issa Hayatou. The appointment was announced at the inaugural meeting of the new CAF Executive Committee in Manama, Bahrain, when the 67th FIFA Congress begins today. It is the first time in CAF's 60-year history that Nigeria will head AFCON's LOC. Pinnick was also named the president of CAF's Media Committee, which was vacated by Benin Republic FA boss and Johnny Mocharafo, who the Nigerian flawed at the CAF election in Ethiopia in March to become a CAF Executive Committee member. President of the Zimbabwe Football Federation, Philip Chiyagwa, is the Deputy President of the AFCON Committee. The head of service of the Federation, Mrs. Winifred Oyota Ita, has demanded that sanctions should be imposed on the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company and subsidiaries over the tragedy that claimed lives at a football viewing center in Calabar on April 20th. The incident occurred when a high-tension wire fell on the roof of a popular viewing center in the Gansan area of Calabar Municipality in Cross River State, where fans were watching the Europa League quarter-final clash between Manchester United and Anderlecht. While 7 of the fans were electrocuted, no fewer than 13 others sustained varying degree of injuries. Those injured are still being treated at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital in Calabar. And now to the Premier League. Chelsea manager Antonio Conte said the side were another little step from the Premier League title after they crushed Middlesbrough 3-0 to move to within touching distance of glory. Tottenham Hotspur's surprise defeat at West Ham United last week handed Chelsea the initiative that they can now seal the second title trophy in 3 years if they win at West Bromwich Albion on Friday. While victory at West Brom will deliver the title, Chelsea also have some games against Watford and Sunderland in which to snare the 3 points they need to make it across the finish line. Chet Fabregas was Chelsea's match winner, inventively creating goals for Diego Costa and Nemanja Matic either side of half-time at a festive Stamford Bridge. Marcos Alonso also found the net in the first half. Fabregas began the season on the bench after new signing N'Golo Kante took his place, but he has played an increasingly prominent role in recent weeks.
Antonio, was that the thoroughly professional and focused performance that you asked for from your players?
Yeah, for sure. But I think that this game was very important for us. Above all, after the defeat, the Tottenham defeat, and the possibility to take 3 points and to go 7 points with Tottenham for us. Yeah, it was very important today to play and to win.
You're always very careful when you say step by step, but was tonight a much bigger step?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, for sure, this is a big step. This is a big step because now there are 3 games, and we needed to take 3 points to win the title. Yeah, it's great, but I think that it's great our answer to Tottenham, because if you think that Tottenham in the last 10 games, they won 9 games and lost only 1. It means that we won 8 games and lost 2. I think that in this situation we showed a great will, a great desire to win the title in this season. I think now we are very close, but we needed to have another step.
All your players were excellent tonight, but in particular, what would you say about Cesc Fabregas and his passing?
Yeah, but we all know Cesc. Cesc, I think that he improved a lot in this season, and yeah, I'm pleased. I'm pleased for him because he put himself in the team, and the start of the season it wasn't easy for him because he didn't play a lot. But then he showed me to deserve to play. He played, and now he's performing very well. I'm pleased for him because it means that through the hard work, you can improve, and then you can change the situation in the team.
Your fans are singing, "We're going to win the league." Do you agree with them?
Yeah, but I have to be agree with him because I repeat, I think we are doing a fantastic job together with the players. Now we need to have another step, another win, and then to celebrate a fantastic target for us. But it's important now to rest and to prepare very well the next game against West Brom.
And is it ideal to win it as quickly as possible? It doesn't matter that it's away from home. You just want to win the title as soon as you can.
Yeah, but it's important, I repeat, to look at ourselves, and we need. We have the possibility.
Everton forward Ademola Lookman has been included in the England final squad for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in South Korea. Lookman, who is also eligible to represent Nigeria, has yet to indicate his interest in playing for the country where his father was born. Other players with Nigerian roots in the squad are Liverpool duo of Ovi Ejaria and Seyi Ojo, Tottenham Hotspur's Josh Onoma, and Chelsea's Dominic Solanke and Fikayo Tomori. Lookman signed for Everton on January 5, 2017 for a fee of €7.5 million, rising to €11 million on a 4.5-year contract. He made his debut for the Toffees 10 days later. England's first World Cup clash comes against Argentina on 20th of May, before they take on Guinea on 3rd of May. They round off their Group A fixtures against the Korean Republic on the 26th of May. And lastly, the Iranian student Reza Parastesh looks so much like his sporting hero Lionel Messi that it almost landed him in jail for disrupting public order this week. So many people came out to take selfies with Parastesh in the western city of Ahmedan over the weekend that police rushed him into a station and impounded his car to stop the chaos and clear traffic. The furor began a few months ago when Parastesh's football-mad father pressured the 25-year-old into posing in a number 10 Barcelona jersey and sending the pictures to a sports website. Despite his early reluctance, Parastesh soon grew into his new role, cutting his hair like Messi and often donning the Barca jersey when he goes out. It had paid off. He is fully booked with media interviews and has even landed modeling contracts. And that concludes the sports news at 12 on New Frontiers Television Station. Precious Amayo standing by.
And with the sports reports from Adebola Adeleke, we come to the end of News on the Hour. Thanks for joining us. I am Precious Amayu. Enjoy the rest of our programs.